Welcome back to Daybreak Live. We are 1 week away from the Alabama primary, and including here in Talladega County. And Dale Price joins us this morning, and a lot of work's been done the last year or so. Dale, good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good to see you again.
Good to have you with us today. And you had mentioned that you started over a year ago?
I started planning for the campaign about a year ago, give or take a little bit.
So for people who may not know Dale Price, who's Dale Price?
Well, Dale Price is a Sylacauga boy. Dale Price was born at the hospital here in Sylacauga. I was raised here. I went to school here. I went away to college and law school for a few years, but then when I passed the bar exam, I came back to Sylacauga and hung my shingle. And I practiced law in Sylacauga for right at 30 years, just a few months shy of the 30-year mark, when Governor Ivey called me and told me that she was going to appoint me to be the district judge for place 2 in Talladega County. And which, Jimmy, that was the greatest professional honor of my life, is the day that she called me. But I spent some time wrapping up my practice, and then took my oath of office, and I've been district judge since that time, since January of 24.
So is this a 2-year term, or how does that work?
It is a 6-year term.
6-year,
yeah,
okay.
Judges get elected to 6-year terms, and so assuming that things go well, then this term will last until 2032.
Anybody that I talk to, and I've known you a long time, anybody I talk to talk about Judge Dale Price as kid-oriented.
Well, nothing could be more true. I think that I spent my 30 years in practice, not all of it, of course, because you can't make a living just representing kids, but I spent a lot of my professional time representing children who were in abuse and neglect situations, and that was, again, not for the money.
How prevalent is that in Talladega County?
Jimmy, the last time I checked, there were about 75 children in foster care in Alabama. Not in Alabama, in Talladega County. Just in Talladega County, about 75, and that's just the ones in foster care. Mm-hmm. That's not counting the kids who have been removed from bad situations and placed with a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle or a cousin. It is far too prevalent. Children, my philosophy has always been that children belong with their parents unless there's a really, really good reason for them not to be there. But sometimes there's a really, really good reason for them not to be there. We bend over backwards not to put children in foster care because you're taking them away from their familiar surroundings, their people, and putting them with strangers. We try not to do that, and still we have about 75 kids in foster care right now.
Candidate for District Court Judge, Talladega County, place 2 in the May 19th primary coming up, a week from today. And let's talk a little bit about what you bring to the table. And you're really adamant about holding criminals accountable.
Absolutely. I don't ever mind giving somebody a second chance, especially a young person who just, does something stupid, makes a mistake. We'll give them a second chance. But once you start having repeat offenders, then it's time to hold their feet to the fire. And that's where I focus. Before I sentence anybody, I look at their history. I find out, what they have done in the past. If they have no history and it's truly a mistake, like I say, I have no problem giving somebody an opportunity to prove that it was just in fact a one-time mistake. But once you start having a record as long as my arm, it is time to start doing something different. And so I don't just simply do the same thing over and over again and hope to have a different result.
I read a lot, and I see stories of criminals who are just slapped on the hand, and they're back out on the street. They do it again. They're arrested. They're back out on the street. Talk about being tough on crime.
And that is what I try to combat. And the only way to combat that is to have information in front of you. You have to know what that person's history is. If you never bother to look at what that person's history is, then you may think, well, this Jimmy Dale looks like a nice fella. He wouldn't do anything like that before. He just made a mistake. But no, I can't do that. I have to look at Jimmy Dale's history and see what has happened in your past. And it takes a little bit of time. It takes some effort. But that's the job. That's what Governor Ivey appointed me to do, and so that's what I'm going to do.
We're talking with Dale Price, who's a candidate for District Court Judge, Talladega County Place 2 in the May 19th the Republican primary. You're committed not only to this job, but you're committed to the people of Talladega County.
I am of this place, Jimmy. I was born here. When Amy and I married, we could have lived anywhere. We chose to live here. We chose to raise our children here. We worship here. We shop here. We are a part of this community. And so, the safety and security of this community, which is what I'm charged with helping to protect, well, that's my family's safety and security too. So of course it's important to me. Anybody who knows me knows Amy, and a lot of folks who don't know me know Amy. Amy works at the hospital, and of course our girls are just, of course I'm a little bit proud. They're just phenomenal human beings.
Both at university, right?
Both at the University of Alabama right now. I have a rising senior and a rising sophomore. They're both home for the summer.
They took after their mama, ain't it?
They took after their mama. The three Price girls, I'm keenly aware they make me look good. They're just all three just exceptional ladies. And
Would you consider Dale Price to be fair?
I am the epitome of fair. I want every person who comes before me charged with a crime who is guilty to be found guilty. And I want every person who comes before me who is not guilty to be found not guilty. I want to always seek the truth. And if the truth leads me to a not guilty, then that's where it leads me. And if the truth leads me to guilty, then that's where it leads me. It has nothing to do with who is standing in front of me or who they know.
Yeah. Our children are not just our children now, but they're our future. And we've got to protect them. Who knows who may become a president or a congressman or a fire chief or a minister. We've got to protect our children.
And we have to break that cycle. Far too often, children who are in situations of abuse or neglect, well, they grow up, they become teenagers who get into delinquencies, and then they become adults who commit crimes, have children that they don't take care of, and the cycle just continues. We have to break that cycle. And the best way to do that is to invest in our children. It really is. They are the future, but they're also part of the here and now.
Absolutely.
And we can't forget that they're part of the here and now, and they need us now. They don't need us 20 years from now. They need us to help them, protect them, and invest in them today.
You've worked closely with law enforcement down through the years and with cases and stuff like that. You feel like you have the support of local law enforcement?
I think so. I was honored to have the endorsement of Sheriff Kilgore a couple of weeks ago. I have worked closely with police departments all over the county, particularly the Sylacauga Police Department. I spent a dozen years or so as the municipal prosecutor in Sylacauga. That came to an end several years ago by my choice, but some of the younger officers don't remember that, but some of the more seasoned officers still remember me as a prosecutor, and they know I was tough as a prosecutor. And my role as a judge is different, okay? It can still be tough, but it has to be tempered by that equity, by fairness. And so I don't want everybody to be found guilty, but I want the guilty ones to be found guilty.
Are there some changes, Dale, that you would like to see happen and maybe be a part of implementing if elected?
I would love to. We need more mental health resources. We need more substance abuse resources. Substance abuse in particular, well, mental health issues and substance abuse frequently go hand in hand. They really do. But we simply do not have enough resources, enough bed space to treat individuals with substance abuse issues, mental health issues. And that is what drives so much of the crime, so much of the child abuse and neglect. It is the primary underlying issue. And, you know, what we've been doing up until this point is putting people in prison a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that people who commit violent crimes shouldn't go to prison.
Sure.
You know, if you're robbing somebody to get drug money, you need to be in prison. But if you're just an addict, you need treatment more than you need prison, because it is easier to get drugs in prison than it is on the streets.
Oh, wow.
That's what people tell me. I've never been to prison, but that's what people tell me. And so there's a little bit of, you know, no, please don't throw me in that briar patch going on. And so we need to put them in treatment rather than prison if they're just an addict, not if they commit crimes, you know, robbery, burglary, stuff like that. That's a different story. That's not what I'm talking about. But if they just have a habit that they need to break, that's when we need to treat them rather than punish them.
Other changes?
Other changes, I would love to see more resources for our children. We need foster parents. Unfortunately, we need foster parents, and so I participate in foster parent training and recruitment all the time.
And you have to be careful with foster parenting.
Of course you do, and we do rigorous background checks before anybody can ever take a child into their home. Not to say that the system is ever going to be perfect,
Right.
okay, but we do go to great lengths to make sure that children are safe when they get put into foster care. You have to remember that, like I say, we bend over backwards not to put them in there. When that has to happen, they're coming out of a really bad situation. And when we have to do it, then we have to just find the best place that we possibly can have. And it may not be perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be a foster parent. You weren't a perfect parent. I wasn't a perfect parent. If anybody
I
out
wasn't
there,
a perfect child either.
nor was I. But anybody who has ever had a child knows there's no such thing as perfect parenting anyway.
Right.
And so, you know, we do the best that we can do with the resources that we have
But
available.
you're serious about your job.
I'm absolutely serious about my job. I've got the best job in the world. Being presiding juvenile court judge is giving me the opportunity to have a positive impact on the lives of multiple children. There's nothing better. There's just nothing that makes you feel better than being able to make a difference in a child's life.
Dale Price, our guest this morning, candidate for District Court Judge in Talladega County Place 2 in the May 19th primary, which is a week from today. In this camera right here, the last 3 minutes belong to you. Why should people vote Dale Price May 19th?
3 reasons. Nobody has the experience that I have. Like I say, I practiced law for 30 years before Governor Ivey called me and told me that she was appointing me. I am pretty old for a first-time judge. Most first-time judges are a good bit younger than me. All 4 of the other judges full-time judges in Talladega County, they're all younger than me, Jimmy. I'm the oldest one. And so I may not walk as fast as them anymore, but I have the benefit of that experience. I practiced small town law. I did everything that you can imagine just about, because that was my job. In a small town, you can't specialize in one little niche area. You have to do what your clients need you to do. And so I had very wide-ranging experience, and I have, as a district judge and a juvenile court judge, I have the widest variety of cases of any of the judges in the county, and I have the experience to be able to handle that. I'm also a strong supporter of law enforcement. Again, my family's safety and security is dependent upon this county's safety and security. So it is, you know, near and dear to my heart. It is a core principle of mine. And then children, you're just not going to find a more passionate advocate for abused and neglected children in the state. Well,
Dale, thanks for coming by this morning, and we wish you the best. And if people would like to know more about your campaign, where do they go?
www.judgedaleprice.com. We also have a Facebook page. It's the regular facebook.com, Judge Dale Price. Either one of those places will get you. If you can't find it, you can email me at sdaleprice@me.com. Any of those things will get you to us.
And certainly you want to take this final moment to encourage people to really consider to get out and vote. We seem to be so adamant about talking about it, but sometimes it doesn't get through.
It is so important to have your voice heard. You cannot have your voice heard if you don't get out and go to the polls on May 19th. Again, like Jimmy said, that's a week from today. And there's some confusion too, but if you live anywhere in Talladega County, not just on the south end, anywhere in Talladega County, and if you vote in the Republican primary, then I'm going to be on your ballot. And I would ask you to seriously consider my experience, my passion. Let me keep my job. Please vote Dale Price on May 19th.
Got much more to do on Daybreak Live. Don't go away.